You ever wonder what a perfect report card from God would look like? Well, in the Bible's book of Revelation, Jesus sends out 7 letters to 7 real churches. And look, most of them get a mix of praise and, some stuff to work on. But one church got a perfect score. No notes, no critiques, just a straight A+. So, what made them so special? Let's get into it. That's right. Out of all 7 of these churches, the one in a city called Smyrna was the only one that got 0 scolding. Not a single, you need to fix this, no rebukes, nothing. So what was their secret? Well, it turns out their story is one of the shortest, toughest, and somehow one of the most encouraging in the entire Bible. So let's take a look at this perfect report card. Now, you'd think a church that got an A+ would have everything going for it, right? Easy street? But what's so wild here is that this letter was sent to a church that was going through an absolutely brutal time. The encouragement they got wasn't just a pat on the back, it was a lifeline, and it was perfectly designed for the crazy pressure they were under. And the first clue is right there in the name of the city, Smyrna. See, it comes from the word myrrh, which is this amazing, fragrant resin. But here's the thing about myrrh. For it to release that sweet smell, it has to be crushed. And that is a perfect metaphor for what was happening to the Christians in that city. They were being crushed by persecution, and through that pressure, their faith was creating something beautiful. So the letter opens up with Jesus introducing himself in a really specific way. He doesn't just say, "Hey, it's me." He calls himself the first and the last, who died and came to life again. Now, for a group of people who were facing the very real threat of being killed for their beliefs, those words were everything. This wasn't just a title, it was their hope. Think about it like this. If you're about to face something absolutely terrifying, the one person you want to hear from is the person who's already been through it and totally conquered it. Jesus is basically saying, hey, I know you're scared of death, but I've already been there. I beat it, so you're safe with me. It's the ultimate reassurance from the ultimate champion. And they needed that reassurance because the next part of the letter gets right to the heart of their problem, and it's this incredible paradox. How in the world can you be completely broke, yet unbelievably rich at the exact same time? And here it is, straight from the source. Jesus says, I see it all. I see your suffering. I see your poverty. But then he just flips the script with 3 words, yet you are rich. Can you just imagine hearing that? In the middle of losing everything, you're being told you're wealthy? So how does that even work? Well, it came down to them having 2 different bank accounts. In their earthly account, they were deep in the red. See, in the Roman Empire, if you refused to say the emperor was a god, that was treason. And that meant you could be kicked out of your job, have your property taken away, basically get banned from the marketplace, like being kicked off Amazon. But Jesus was looking at a different bank account, their spiritual one. And in that one, they were spiritual billionaires, overflowing with faith, with character, and with a guaranteed inheritance in heaven that nobody could ever touch. Now, Jesus doesn't just praise them, he also prepares them. He gives them a little heads up that actually things are about to get even tougher. But, and this is huge, he gives them a very specific, hope-filled piece of information about the trouble that's coming. He tells them they're going to face persecution for 10 days. Now, on the surface that sounds specific, but this number is so significant. While it might have been 10 literal days, it more likely symbolized a period of time that was, complete but limited. It's like God is holding a stopwatch. The message wasn't, your suffering is over. The message was, your suffering has an end date. It is under control and it will not last forever. For anyone going through a hard time, that perspective is a complete game changer. And this is just so important to get. The promise was never an escape from the trouble. It was the promise of his presence in the trouble. He doesn't pull them out of the fire, he gets in the fire with them. And that is a totally different and honestly a much more powerful kind of promise. So what happens when they endure all this? What's waiting for them at the finish line of this incredibly painful race? Well, the letter pivots to the reward, and it's described in a way they would have understood instantly. The reward is a victor's crown. The Greek word for it is stephanos. Now, this wasn't a king's crown, made of gold and jewels. This was the wreath of laurel leaves they gave to an athlete who won a grueling race, like a marathon. It was the ultimate symbol of victory, of endurance, of finishing the race and winning. And here's the promise that ties it all together. The challenge is to be faithful, to keep running no matter what, even if it costs you your life. And the prize? It's not just a crown, it's life as your victor's crown. It's a life that never fades, a victory that lasts forever. The letter ends with one last incredible promise. Whoever is victorious won't be hurt by the second death. So, what's that? It's understood to be eternal separation from God. Basically, it's the ultimate insurance policy. The world might be able to cause your physical death, the first death, but it has absolutely zero power over your soul or where you spend eternity. You're completely protected. Okay, so a 2,000-year-old letter to a church in what is now Turkey. Why does any of this matter to us today? Because the pressures they faced, well, they might look different, but the themes are exactly the same. And the encouragement they got is absolutely timeless. This letter is really a reminder to see our lives differently. So when you feel poor, maybe you don't have the newest phone or the coolest car, remember where your real, unshakable wealth is stored. When you feel persecuted, maybe just misunderstood for what you believe, remember that hardship is temporary and it has a purpose. And when you feel completely crushed, remember the myrrh, and remember that the first and the last, the one who literally conquered death, is right there with you. So, the ultimate question this ancient letter leaves us with is a really modern one. We're all running a race for something, right? For approval, for success, for comfort. The letter to Smyrna challenges us to stop and ask, what is the stephanos, the victor's crown that you're running for? And will it last?